Hey everyone, Amanda here with Imágemária Studio. I thought I would put together little FAQs for you. I get a lot of questions from people, especially doing photography, and thought I would make a fun little visual and kind of get to know me, I guess, and answer all your questions. So these are questions that I get a lot, and also a few of you have submitted some for my little story the other day. What do you do? That's a great question. What would you say you do here? People who know me kind of know what I do. If I get this question out of the blue, like someone's first meeting me, to be honest, I feel weird saying I'm just a photographer. I do a lot of making and engineering and thematic design, I would say. I don't know how to put that into a title. It's kind of weird. Like I'm a little over creative to come up with a basic title, so like I'm kind of on the fence about it. But I do photography, portraits, fantasy photos, weddings, kids, anything that usually has to do with some kind of nerdy fandom, alternative something. I also make books. And no, not just, photo books that are just ordered and everything just stuck in there. I mean like cover to cover, hand making books, making the cover something special and unique to each person. They're really something fantastic. So I really get excited to do those for people. I also make clothing, so I'm a fashion designer too. I was doing some things from scratch and creating like wedding bridal capes and things like that for people. I got into trying to be more inclusive with sizing, so I came up with my own little fashion line, which usually kind of goes along a witchy theme, I guess. But it's my photography art created into fabrics that are stylized into pieces such as like capes and blouses and different types of things like that. Haven't I seen you somewhere? Oh my gosh. I get this question a lot when I go to theme parks. I don't know what it is about my face. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I look like a typical person that you might see lots of versions of. I don't know. It's really weird. You've probably seen me at an amusement park. I don't know. I do Dapper Days often enough, but I don't feel like I'm popular enough to be seen everywhere. I don't know where people are seeing my face. Fun fact, maybe you saw me in Stranger Things within the past few years. I actually have a twin sister who was a background extra in season 3. So if I look familiar and you like to look for things in the background like that, maybe that's where you saw me? I don't know. What inspired you to take up photography? That's a great question. Actually, my interest in photography goes way back to when the internet was dial-up modem. Yes, it's true. So like I didn't get into photography, like for media creation or like to start a business because the internet really wasn't there at that time. Like nobody was really doing that so much. I started in high school doing darkroom photography. And I was doing this with my twin sister too, so we kind of had a little fun thing in the darkroom, which was a really fantastic artistic experience. And I really liked it because it was kind of my own thing at the time because I wasn't, like sharing everything on the internet. It was just kind of exploring and seeing what I could do with light and dark and chemicals and paper, which I thought was an interesting art form. Like I had been into drawing and painting a lot before that. Then I got into DSLR work and getting creative with photography and handling all that stuff like tactile in the darkroom and like seeing the image appear on the paper was really cool. So it was just, I don't know, like I kind of have a scientific side a little bit. And I think like the merging of the science with the art was just really interesting to me. So that's really what sparked it all. Most fun shoot you've ever done? Easiest or hardest? Most fun shoot slash easiest is pretty much anything having people who are just really into their nerdy fandoms, I have to admit. Anything where people are just like, so into their stuff and they're like, oh, let's do this. And can we merge these two fandoms together or, do this or that? And I usually am just like overflowing with ideas for these kinds of people. So those are easiest. Like usually those ideas just pour out and we just have fun with it. Whether it's, shooting people creating magic at the Wizarding World or fusing Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I don't know, like we get really crazy and it's just a lot of fun. Hardest shoot that I've ever done was a proposal at Magic Kingdom during the fireworks show at the end of the day. And I was, nighttime, started sprinkling, raining just a little bit. I had two flashes, two people kind of holding them up on the sides. It was around one of the fountains, like when you walk up towards Magic Kingdom Castle and the two little gardens on the sides. And he had a ring box that had a light inside of it. It was pretty cool. Started drizzling, and I had one or both, I can't remember, flashes stop functioning because they got wet. So equipment malfunction is like a serious recurring nightmare for me. Like I'd never have issues except this one time, and somehow I made it work. But I have nightmares about like suddenly the batteries won't work, and suddenly I forgot both of my cameras, and suddenly like the event's on the wrong date. Like I always have these horrible dreams, and like it never really happens, but it's just because I have anxiety about making sure that I have everything and it's gonna work and I have backups and all of this, which normally is not a problem, but because I overthink it, I have I have nightmares about it. This was a nightmare situation. So I had to use all the available light at the time to light them up, which was, the light from the ring box, which was almost negligible, and the light from the fireworks. So I had to time, and I was like, crossing my fingers, hoping for the best timing of the light from the brightest, whitest fireworks, which are like the big smoky ones where light reflects off of all of them. I had to kind of time my shooting and their moments so that the light from the fireworks was lighting them up enough to be able to see what was going on. That was a big challenge, but those pictures turned out pretty cool, actually. I don't know how I did it. Creative problem solving. When is the best time to do a photo shoot at theme parks? January through March, Wednesdays. How soon will I get my photos back? My turnaround is pretty quick, and I will tell you that I have OCDs about overlapping work. So I usually plan my schedule so that if it's not overpacked with other stuff, I could literally shoot something, not have anything else to shoot that day, and go back and home and edit it. If it's a standard shoot, I could probably turn it around within a couple of days. If it's got, effects and things like that, within a week. Some weddings I can actually get within a week with that schedule, unless it's a crazy season. Then I say around 2 weeks. So up to 2 weeks for weddings, probably within a week for regular portraits, if not a few days, depending on my schedule. It's pretty quick. Oh Lord, people. Can you edit the people out of the background? I love this question just because I'm in the Universal Annual Pass group, and people do this all the time. I don't know what app they're using on their phone, and they somehow blur the people or like fill them in with chunks of darkness or something like that. I don't know what they're doing, but taking people out of backgrounds is an art form and a scientific procedure, because you have to use textures that come out of the background to layer over people who are standing in front of them. And if you don't have that information, you either have to fill it in with something like an effect. I don't know, it really depends. It's very, depends on the scene. So like at the Wizarding World, if people are standing in front of, like gift shop windows, you have to have the same gift shop or like, another one to cover them up with it. Other creative tactics I've used are like, creating a wand effect where like something comes out and it kind of covers up some of the people in the background. But if there's a huge crowd and there's like no information to fill them in, it's really tricky to take people out of the background. But as I like to say at Imágemária, it is possible 3 times before it is impossible. So I will try something to make sure it'll work and see if it does. And most things usually end up being Photoshoppable, but not everything is. So I take all challenges. Some things are really fun to kind of mess with and see what's possible. So most things are possible. Not everything is possible. Please take that to the bank. Are you taking custom dress orders? I do make a lot of my clothes, and I get people saying like, oh, I want one, or like, can you make me one? That's so cute, or whatever. Right now, my variable sizing is the items that I am making with my digital photography. So those are kind of like preset designs, but it has sizes from extra small to extra large. I try to be inclusive with my sizes, and I really want to, cater to a large chunk of the crowds out there interested in my fashion. But from scratch, right now, I'm not taking custom dress orders because it's a lot of geometry and math in my head for putting all of that together and sizing for bodies. So maybe at some point in the future, But right now I'm kind of just doing, like, if I'm hand making something custom like that, it's like a one size fits all sort of thing, like a cape. I've done a few bridal capes like that. But otherwise, if you're looking for the range of sizing, I have that all over my Etsy page right now. I have all the witchy, wizarding kind of stuff with my creative artwork photography in the fabrics. So check that out. Do you make all of your own clothing? No, I don't. I would love to have, like most of my closet full of things that I've handmade or designed, just because I just like tailoring things to myself and my very particular fashion sense, I guess. Um, it is a little addictive, I will say, to be able to make my own clothing. Because I'm like, I find all these vintage things, and some things are actually vintage and they're old and they're kind of falling apart. And I'm like, I could just remake that and it will look vintage and it'll be fun to wear. But I actually nowadays I haven't been making as much casual wear, and like a lot of the things that I put my time into tend to be like for Dapper Day. So it's like a lot of people are going to see me, and I'm going to put a lot of effort into this. And sewing takes quite a lot of time to make it excellent. So I kind of pick and choose my projects. Eventually, probably most of my closet will be all stuff that I've made. It's getting there. We'll see where it goes. Right now, it's kind of a mix of handmade and vintage, and I tend towards like 40s and 50s or 80s. I'm really getting into 80s kind of casual wear right now, which is kind of fun. Thanks for your interest. I like people to know, like, everything up front that they may not realize they have questions about. Actually, when I do consultations, that's one thing that people will comment on. They'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know I had all those questions. Like, you just answered them all for me." That's what I'm here for, to answer the questions you didn't know you had, because there are no secrets here. I don't like secrets. So I like you to know everything up front and get a good picture of what's going on over here. Thanks for your frequently asked questions. I like frequently answering them. If you have any more questions based off of these questions, you could put it in the comments and I will counter comment and answer your question. Have I mentioned that I'm really bad at like videos for social media? I always feel like I need to take a public speaking course. Everybody always has like such energy, and I'm kind of over here like, I don't make a video. Here's a frequently asked question that I frequently ask myself. Why don't I make more videos for social media? Probably because I hate making videos for social media. I actually went to college for mass media communication, which included a lot of filmmaking, writing and designing, and production. And maybe it's public speaking. I don't know. Maybe it's the trend of whatever social media videos making is like nowadays. And I feel like it's not my personality to be fabricated, which I feel like a lot of it is. And I think I just answered that for myself. That's what it is. Like I'm a very authentic person. Like, no, I mean, there's a lot of fantasy and stuff going on in my design, but I'm a very authentic person, and I find it very difficult to put together all these like sparkly videos and like all the weird stuff that goes on with the video making nowadays, that I have a hard time getting on that bandwagon. I feel like my videos are boring if I don't do it, so I don't do it. I don't know. I'm trying to make authentic content in a fabricated world. It's a challenge. That's just how I feel about it. But anyway, thanks for watching.